be prepared. And okay, and here we are. Hey guys. Okay, so this is our official first sum assembly required. It's a little bit different from the last time. I'm going to split us up so that we have you guys there, and we're using a cool system so we can share pictures and all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, without further ado, let's all introduce ourselves. Hey guys, welcome to official episode number 1 of Sum Assembly Required. I am Paul. Next to me on screen is, go for Jim.
Jimmy, how are you, buddy? Everyone all
Cool,
right?
man. And yeah, I'm okay. I'm a bit nervous. We did have one little whoopsie with the setting on the time thing, but we're good. And who else are we joined with today?
Bart from America.
Bart from America. Okay, cool, guys. And how's everybody
High
today? Are
energy,
we good?
Bart.
What's that?
Great, mate. We're great.
Good. How are you, Bart? What did you say there, Jimmy? Bart didn't hear you.
I said high energy, Bart. High energy, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, so on the agenda today, and I'm going to start shouting out at some guys in the comments in a second. I just want to get everybody in there first. So I'm just going to give people a few minutes to get in there. We have a bit of an agenda this time, and then so I'm going to just start off with what have you guys been up to? What's been happening since the last time we sort of did this?
We could just pause for a second. I'll be right back. I can't find my headphones, so Jim, you take it away.
Cool.
Hey, this is worse than the last one, Paul.
It just looks better. It looks better.
Oh, it looks great.
Hey, Kato. Yeah. Hey, I was going to say hey to the guys. I've got a bit of weird audio stuff, but I think it's the poopy earphones I'm using at the moment. Yeah, so Jimmy, what have you been up to, man? What's been happening? How's life been?
Well, it's still been great. Customizing wise, if people have been following the YouTube channel, I've been doing what's going to be a 6-part uphaul.
Yeah. In fact, we haven't released that video just yet. We're about to, but our patrons know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patreon. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm going to release that after this video. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, to let everybody know, as a little warm-up, I've been doing a 6-part diorama tutorial. So, going through the basics of materials and techniques that I use to create concrete, rubble, rock, brickwork type dioramas. And we're going right from scratch. So if people want to tune in for that in the coming weeks, we're going to be going from start to finish, and you can, well, I'll try and bring up some photos of it, but well, if not, I've got the finished product right here.
Let me give you some real estate there, dude. Let me give you a solo layout. You can show everybody, and then I'm going to do a quick, amazing camera job here where I'm going to go, it looks kind of like this. And I'm going to share my screen for 2 seconds, and then everybody can see what's crack-a-lacking. Cool. And then share that one. And then there we go, full screen layout. So guys, that is the diorama that Jim's been working on. So, and he's going to show, well, in the video series that he's done with us, we're going to show you how to build this magnificent beast. And then maybe in a future episode, we'll show you how to do old Major Blood there as well. So, but let's turn some focus onto our man Bart. So let me get that out of there. And yeah, firstly, I want to say Bart is the only guy that makes that hat, that GI Joe logo work. Like, wow, actually. Like, no, it looks good, man.
I couldn't find like a traditional one in these colors because I'm really not too happy with this one. But I said, fuck it.
Yeah, good move. Yeah. I like it. It's very legit. I dig it. And are those like Velcro patches that you can put on?
The ones on the side, the one on the front, I had to sew on.
Okay, so Jim, you got competition. Looks like Bart can sew as well. So cool. So you guys have been okay, Bart. We haven't been
Dolly Club, Bart.
Bart's gonna be like, never. So what are you guys? We've just been catching up with everybody, and Bart, I know you had to take a step out there for a second. What have you been up to, man? Like, what's been happening the last 3 weeks? I know that you've been buying 1 or 2 toys to use as fodder for customizing. But yeah, what else has been happening?
I picked up some Gundam models. There's a store called Hobby Lobby, has models on sale for 40% off right now in case anybody's interested. It's any box model, so cars, trucks, tanks, planes, Gundams, whatever. So I've been driving around town, scooping up some of those. Just getting some figures together, sorting out parts and pieces. Right now, currently working on making Quick Kick. And then I'm going to be working on these dudes. I'm going to be customizing my Beachhead, and this guy is just going to be a whatever kind of guy. I think I'm going to incorporate him into Bobby's Valverse line.
Yeah.
Because he's got this like robotic arm and all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't really see him fitting into my Joe universe, but I do want to flesh out my Action Force universe a little bit. So that's about all I got right now.
Cool, man. So you mentioned the magic word there. You just mentioned Gundam. And yeah, so you guys know that I'm a big nut for Gundam and for the mobile suits from the Gundam series and generally Japanese anime and mecha. And you know, I've seen some of the pictures that Bart sent me, and he's got some very, very nice kits. And it also sort of reminds me of when I was in the States. I don't know where we were exactly, but we were kind of driving past somewhere, and I saw Hobby Lobby, and I asked Stephen and Rob if they would mind if we could go to that mall and go and check it out. It was like a little strip mall kind of situation. And wow, I mean, I just went in there because I wanted to go and get some like markers and stuff, you know, like Copic markers, whatever. And then I was blown away by Hobby Lobby, dude. I was not expecting Hobby Lobby to be what it is. And I just about spazzed out when I walked in there because, I mean, they had all this cool art stuff, which was amazing. But then they had a robust model kit section. And Steve was like, whoa, boy, whoa. He's like, don't buy anything. Just don't buy anything. It was like literally the second day of us being in America. And I mean, they just had all of these cool Bandai Star Wars kits and Gundam kits. And wow, I went nuts. So yeah, glad to hear that they've got a special going. But yeah, some of the kits that you sent me pictures of were things like the Moon Gundam, which is something I'm very excited about. So you got yourself some real grades. 2 real grades there that you got. I also own. One of them is my absolute favorite real grade of all time, which is the Crossbone. So very cool. But sweet, yeah. So that's us catching up. I suppose I should tell you guys what I've been up to. I've been up to getting the lunge ready. So I'll show all of you folks YouTube land what that looks like. So this is what some of the 3D models look like for the lunge. So the lunge is happening. Understand that some stuff's still gonna look unfinished, and it's still gonna look like it's been press sticked on or like tacked on. It's because it's still being molded. This is just a base mesh, and then I'll show you guys another picture, and then that's just so you can see it at different angles. Excuse the model. I'm actually busy taking 360-degree photos of an actual classified GI Joe, so that we can render it in 3D quickly, just to get all of the fittings done. So that's a fun process. But yeah, you guys can sort of.
That guy.
I know, right? Look at this dude. He's like.
G on that guy. No assembly required on that.
Yeah, man. Hey, cool. So yeah, so that's what I've been busy with. I've got a special preview for you all as well. I'm gonna shoot through to it quickly. Those are all my pictures. So
right,
this
junk.
yeah, it's Beachhead's junk. So this is, I did a bit of an artwork. I want to release a new t-shirt soon. And so everybody who's watching the stream is getting a super preview of it so far. So yes, it's Beachhead. And there is also going to be an exclusive version with the crossbow in hand. And that'll be available sort of during Black Friday. And the patrons, you guys will get discounts on it, obviously. And yeah, so, and something special about this design is that it was inspired by one of our supporters, one of our biggest supporters of G.I. Joe, and a collaborator as well, a guy by the name of Troy Smith. And he suggested I do a Beachhead because he was like, wow, your merch store is so full of Cobra. And he's right, it's too full of Cobra. So I asked him for some suggestions on Joe's, and Beachhead was one of them. So that's going to happen. So look out for that. So I hope everybody that's checking it out thinks it's super cool, because I'm really happy with this one. And then I took Chabang to Kung Fu. So, because yeah, I've been shooting some Ninja Force footage for something that I want to do. And I took Chabang with me, and in the back are two of the students. One of them is my instructor, and he's busy beating up the other students, even though it doesn't look like it. But yeah, I've got Chabang. Yeah. Yeah, so
when you
so
play
that's
with
been
him,
me.
you have to play Ricky Martin's Chabang.
Whoa. She move. She look like a flower and she sing like a bee. Yeah. Yep, I do. So that's been my week. But as for model building, I have sadly not been able to get any major model building done or customizing, and that's because I have been busy with some really awesome work. I've been doing my usual day job, which is already awesome stuff, and then I've been busy on doing background art and background painting for an animated series. Unfortunately, I cannot mention its name right now. But as soon as I'm allowed to, I'll tell everybody. Trust me on that one. And so I've been busy on that. So I haven't been able to get around to stuff. What I have been able to do is get around to editing some video stuff. And as mentioned earlier by Jim, we did this cool, I say we, but actually Jim did it all. He did this really incredible diorama that we showed earlier. And he's done a video process of how to get there. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today as well. And and then we've also got Bart, who's done some awesome stuff regarding disassembly of classified Joes, which will also be coming out shortly after this is aired. I just have to actually ask Bart to just do some voiceover for me. Sorry, man, it's been a bit nuts. But so without further ado, I just want to just check something. And if you guys have anything you want to add so long, before I move on to our next thing.
Did you talk about our new logo?
I tried screen
I
share.
did it.
Well, I can't speak.
What's that, Jimmy?
Sorry, I said
okay.
I'm trying to screen share, but I can't seem to do it, mate. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't worry. Jimmy's working out how to do the screen share. That's pretty cool. What we're going to do now, I'm just going to take 5 minutes. I just want to do a few shout outs to everybody that's joining us in the comments. So firstly, I'm going to start at the top. I'm just going to go, what's up, they gone? Welcome back, Terry Turner. It's always great to see you. Kato, love having you here, man. I love the stuff that you've been doing lately. So welcome back. Magnificent Kaboom. It feels like you're our #1 fan because I see you in all the chats all the time. So welcome back. Kato says, pardon, autocorrect got him. Hello, Bart from America. I am Kato from America. So, yeah. But you know he's not from the same America you're from because he didn't say, hey, Jens. So, yeah. I also, unfortunately, cannot see who Facebook user is who said, oh, sweet. But hello, Facebook user who said, oh, sweet. And hello to Facebook user who said, Old Major Blood is badass. Cool. I agree. Old Major Blood is badass. Jimmy's totally onto something there. I'm half expecting somebody to give him a shout and go, how are we going to do this Major Blood Declassified series? A big shout out to Troy Smith. Very cool to see you in the comments, man. I think I just mentioned you now earlier with regards to Beachhead. So, oh, there we go. Yeah, Troy Smith says that looks familiar. Cody, hello, Cody. Welcome to the channel. And nice. And hello, Fenrir Fire or Fenrir Fire. And yeah, so that's all. Hello, double mention. Hey, cool. So yeah, Jimmy, have you figured out how to screen share yet, my dude?
No, I click onto my directors and I can't see. It won't. For reason it's freezing. It won't access them, which is fine.
Oh right. Okay. Cool. So Jim, if you want to, you can always send me your stuff via mail quickly, and I can always pop it up. But let's get into our next section. So long, if you need to do that, you can sort of do that in the background. I think. And let's get into. Oh, hello, Danny of our time. So now we're going to get into what are you busy with? What is on the table, guys? What is being cut up and slaughtered and killed on your table? And I think just to give Jimmy a bit of time to work out some technical things, let's hand it over to Bart for a second.
For me personally, I'm shooting a little video of that the quick kick build I'm going to be doing. Also, to finish up the video that you're going to show for the taking apart of the figures and things. I'll be working on the Beachhead probably first, and then I'll go back to whoever this guy is. This is the Cable from the Deadpool movie.
Oh yeah,
that is head in the bag here somewhere. But I just took the vests off of both of these guys, flip-flopped them, and then I'll be finishing them up, and I'll be doing a video on each one of them to go along with the one I already.
Hold on, Bart. Let me see that Beachhead, dude, and hold it up real close to the camera, because that is. Guys, that is looking really cool, and the formula you use for that was that Cable. Is that Cable's web gear that you put on Beachhead now?
Yeah,
that makes that toy look so much better, in my opinion.
Like, yeah, that's kind of why it's
awesome. Yeah, damn.
And then I'm going to give him Cable's rifle also, because on the chest of Beachhead he has those like mag holders that I think go along with the original.
Yeah.
And Cable's got this like big nasty gun with those same things, so I wanted everything to match. So I just gave him this gun. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of like lighting issues here or whatever, but hope everybody can see this thing.
Oh, it's cool, man. We'll give it some serious feature in the next episode. That looks like a Chris Vector got together with a what is that, M93?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Tommy gun Vector kind of thing. The grenade launcher comes off. He comes with 2 different grenade launchers. You can swap them out. Crazy looking.
Yeah, it is crazy looking, but it's kind of cool in that it's very it's very like sci-fi-ish, which is cool, you know, like, and that's something that the classified line does well. It sort of lends itself well to that. Oh, excellent.
This isn't sci-fi. This is Beachhead.
No, yeah, smart ass. So okay, cool. So I'm just showing Jimmy's computer now. No, it's cool. I'm just thought I'd do that just to let you guys know Jimmy's making progress.
That's all.
Listen, guys, like,
private pictures.
Just so you guys, yeah, we just saw Jimmy's cloud porn. I am running the role of like dial tone in this thing at the moment, so I've got all of the like computer stuff, but unlike dial tone, I don't really know what I'm doing yet. So it's like, you know, this is definitely not as slick as like Kato's show, because Kato has got this down.
Smash keys.
He's got this down. He makes this an art form. In fact, I actually just got to do a shout out to Kato to say thank you for sort of introducing me to StreamYard. I was on a show with Mike Mercy once upon a time, Stephen and I, and it was StreamYard, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then it's actually Kato that sort of turned me onto it, and I was like, oh wow, this is so much easier. This makes life so much better than what we were trying to do before. So shout out to StreamYard, not sponsored. # not sponsored. And soon I'll have a webcam, so you guys can all see my ugly face soon, or at least something of mine. Jimmy decided to hide himself. So just to get into that Beachhead again, I really, really dig that. And I just want to say, like, I don't have any issues with classified Beachhead, because I always thought he looked okay. Like, he looked good, like maybe good enough, you know. But you putting that sort of trimmer, slimmer web gear on him just looks more like he should. Like, he looks more like Beachhead, like the Beachhead I'm familiar with, which is pretty cool.
That's wherever it's at. There it is. That's the original one. I did cut a little bit of the bottom off to fit this belt on, but this just looked like too bulky. Like, it was like covering his shirt. You know, that's like half the coolness of him is that shirt that he has. So I just wanted to swap him and give him a little more streamlined, because Beachhead, to me, he's a fast mover. You know, he gets in, gets out, does what he has to do. He's not going to be having a lot of big, bulky stuff on him.
Okay. Oh yeah, and I mean, like, and Bart, if you don't mind my saying, I mean, Bart's the military man, and so does that ever come into like your customizing? Like, when you do stuff like that, do you ever think of it from the perspective of like, okay, you're a military guy. How would you work with this stuff in real life? You know, do you ever think of it like that?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the figure. If the look of him is more traditional military, I try and go that route. If he's a little bit more science fiction-y, then it's just load up whatever looks cool on the guy and see how it turns out. But I do try and think about some kind of functionality. Like when I cosplay as Snake Eyes, he has the bandolier with the grenades and all this other crap, and it's like, he's a ninja. If he's trying to flip around and do kicks and stuff, all this crap on, it's not going to work so good, but it looks badass.
Oh, that, and then the grenades are going to like rattle, like every time he moves, they're going to go like having a pair of mental nuts. You know? You know, yeah, that is something that kind of bugs me. Like, I always like just throw it off into, you know, suspension of disbelief, but I do get where you're coming from. It's actually one of the reasons I love the Sideshow toys so much, because Sideshow Beachhead was one of my very first Sideshow purchases, and I spent a lot of time and did a lot of research and really got myself into the headspace of, if I was Beachhead, how would I want my gear on me? You know, where do I want my pouches? Are my pouches going to get in the way of me trying to shoot? If I want to get a mag out quick, where do I reach? Where do I keep my mags? That kind of stuff. So I try to, I mean, and I don't have real military tactical experience, so I have to imagine all of this, and that's why it's always curious to me to like ask a gentleman like yourself who is in the service, because you know, you guys know. I mean, you've been out there, you've done the running with the packs and all that stuff. But yeah, Jimmy, did you manage to get your technical issues sorted there with the screen sharing thing?
No, but I managed to delete myself from the live stream.
Good. Well played. I saw that.
Yeah, so it's all going well, Sam. Woo!
Cool. Well, the other, okay, so what I've got on my bench at the moment, and this is inspired by both Jim and Bart, and this is what I hope to show in the next episode. And I've actually got some questions for Bart with regards to this. Is I've got a classified Storm Shadow and a classified Roadblock, who I feel are in desperate need of a bit of accent painting, and yeah, they need some work. They need a little bit of work. If anybody out there, and this is actually the theme of our show today, it's classified GI Joes and how can we fix them? How can we make them a little bit better for us? And if they're good enough for us, or once we've gotten them there, then what? And so to answer that question is, well, the first thing, and I think the easiest thing you can do, if you don't want to go the route that Bart has gone, where you're switching web gear and doing all kinds of mad stuff, is to just do some basic accent painting on these toys to fix them up. And a big one, and that's why I don't want to show any pictures, because I want to save it for the next episode. But Storm Shadow has a lot of white on him, and he's got a lot of black on him. And there seems to be no in-between. There's no middle ground. There's no gray. There's no light gray. There's nothing to break it up a bit. And I feel that that's one of the tragic sort of things about this toy. It's that it has so many fantastic details, but they need to be brought out with something like a simple wash and a little bit of accent paints here and there. And yeah, I want to get in on that. But thanks to Bart, whose tutorial has served me well in teaching me how to pop off the arms to make my life easier to paint them, we're going to totally go nuts on that in our next one. However, once you have done all of these cool little paint tweaks and touch-ups to your classified Joes, you might want to look at doing something cool like a diorama. And I'm going to put up my pictures and stuff right now quickly that have been sent to me from Jim, just so you guys can get an idea of the versatility of doing something like this. Okay, so I'm going to share that quickly, and I'm going to go full screen with that. Hopefully everybody can see it. I'm going to go full screen here too. Yeah. Oh, wait, that's the editing button. Yeah, I know how to use Photoshop. This Windows thing, beyond me, dude. Oh, there's the full screen button. Okay, cool. So this is the same diorama I showed you guys earlier that Jim had done for Major Blood. I mean, how cool is that? And that's a 1:18 customized rock and roll. Well, actually, not really. Is it rock and roll? It kind of reminds me of rock and roll, but it's more just a colonial.
It's a Colonial Marine Smart gun, but yeah, it kind of looks like rock and roll.
Like rock and roll.
200 years in the future. It's an Outback head, actually. That one that I love to use so much.
Yeah, the one that I've got on my figure.
The Boss Fight Studios sculpt for the club, wasn't it? That one. But yeah, this was to show the diorama that we made in the tutorial was built specifically for 1:6 scale, but I want to show the versatility. If you don't add details like anything that's scale specific, like I don't know, any sort of, this section here is a doorway. I could have put like an access panel or something. If you leave stuff like that, then they're great for any scale. I think I took a picture of with a 1/144th Gundam that you made, Paulie, and you sent me.
That's right, yeah. That's the next one, yeah. Yeah,
so if you keep them sort of vague, they work with any scale, which is really great for photography. And I think I sent you one with some turtles on tutorial.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, and then and the thing is, this Gundam, if you guys are wondering, is 1:144 scale, which measures to about the same size as a modern era GI Joe. So, and in the world of Gundam, because mobile suits are this big, there are actually there is terrain that matches their scale. You know, like because mankind has made big superstructures. as bases and things like that. So this also works really well. I've got Major Blood peeking around the corner there, but then this gives everybody a nice shot of the back of it as well. And I mean, even that there's like a little nook here, and I hope everybody can see my mouse pointer. There's a little nook here, which is great if you want to do some cool action figure photography, like have a figure like hiding or, you know, being sneaky somewhere, which is cool. I love stuff like that. But let me show everybody the Ninja Turtles, which are 1:6 scale, which are pretty similar to
1:12 scale.
1:12 scale. Thank you. 6 inches, 1:12 scales. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I think I gave some dodgy maths on that video at one point. Well, I got confused between 12 inches and 1:12 and 6 inches and 6.
Nobody's gonna hold it against you, man, except for the guy.
I hope people ignore it.
Right.
The ladies will know.
Yeah, the ladies will know.
Yeah. Oh, there's another joke, Bart, that nearly went over my head.
African or European swallows. If you guys don't know what that is, please do yourself a favor and watch Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. I introduced or reintroduced it to Cecilia last night. That's the movie, by the way. Yeah, it's terrible. It's such a good bad movie. I love it.
Yeah.
And then here we go with a 1:6 scale. So that's a 12-inch figure there. So anyway, Bart, not Bart, Jim, I know that you wanted to share some stuff and some video process stuff, but I'm going to actually give you the reins and I'm going to let you talk through this. And you just tell me when you want me to change pictures and I will do it. And then everybody can at least get the full feeling here from you, the man who did this. Because I feel like my voice is very prominent here right now.
Well, I guess, this just give a taste to everybody of what can be achieved. And it's not that this process isn't highly skilled. That's kind of what I'm trying to get across in the video. These are, so basically we're using construction industry insulation foam. And it has this really nice natural effect to it when you break it apart. As you can see here, just on the corner that old Sebastian's peeping around, that's kind of like the natural break that it gives you when you just kind of snap it apart. And then in the video, I'll also show you how to make texture paint out of just bog standard filler and sand and a bit of paint. And once you put that on and it dries and you give it a base coat and maybe a wash, once you start applying highlights, all these textures just pop out of it. So this is 2 or 3 colors, 1 earth shade wash, and a white highlight, and that's it. And so I really just want to prove to people how you can make dioramas that are really realistic with kind of zero artistic skill. It's all about just following the right process.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Artistic skill really is, a lot of the times, it is following a process. It's actually about loving the process. Hey, Corporate Lang! In fact, I've just reached into the comments quickly, and I see Dagon wants to know, and I'm going to pop it here on the screen. That is the material. I think he meant to type in what is the material that those are made out of. Like Jim said, it's a building material, but he knows the name of it, and it's called?
It's one of the trade names that seems to be most popular around the world is Kingspan. Plus, it comes under things like Ecotherm, but most of these companies just use the same recipe for making this foam. It's not like polystyrene, where that's made up of small, like tiny spheres, air-filled spheres. This is like compacted fine particles. So
yeah, we have that
bubble.
We have that here in the States. It's pink insulation. You get it at Home Depot in like 4x8 sheets.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what
it comes in all sorts of different?
What do you mean?
Oh, is there a name for that pink product? Is it like called Mr. Pink or Pink Elephant Skin?
Shit.
Or...
I don't know. I think it's a Pink Panther product. I really don't know. I just go and buy it. But if you go in the insulation section where like all the attic insulation, wall insulation type stuff is, it's right there. You can't miss it. It's like Pepto-Bismol pink.
Cool.
It feels like when you took it, if you know that kind of foam that they use for, geez, it's going to sound really manly, but for flower arranging.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know that kind of, it's got that sandy texture to it, and you tap it, it's kind of.
Oh, okay. Like
yeah, it's a bit like
Okay,
that. It feels. Just go around your local hardware store and have a squeeze of everything. You'll find it.
So here's the thing for our South African viewers, which make up literally 1 to 2% of the analytics that watch this video. But for our South African viewers that are watching this and are looking at this and thinking, oh, that would be great for my tank dioramas or for my war-torn scenery dioramas. All I can say is that we can actually get Ecotherm in South Africa. I have found it here in SA. I am actually making some plans to get my hands on Ecotherm because we don't have Kingspan here. And it's funny that you mentioned the same stuff that they use for flower arranging, because that was actually something I was going to experiment with and see if that works. So you saying so feels like you've given it a bit of your blessing. I also kind of...
anything, Paul. I just say it feels like that. I don't know if that stuff might actually work, but I think that stuff for flower arranging is a little bit more crumbly and a bit more fragile.
I'll totally try it out.
So. Well, I'll give it a whirl. Why not?
The other thing is I've also got another kind of insulation foam that is more sort of fibrous and more like polystyrene, but it's not polystyrene with the little polystyrene balls that are married together. It's more like kind of a fibrous texture, but it also seems to break in a similar way to this, but it would require a lot more work. And I'm thinking of, sort of our international viewers who may not get that. And I think if you're somebody who lives in a very like hot country, like South Africa is considered sub-Saharan in some respects, and but not really. We're not really sub-Saharan because we have got like, anyway, I don't want to get into the geography of it, but our houses don't need insulation from below 0 temperatures because we very seldom get that during winter. So we don't often have that kind of insulation. A lot of the time, the insulation here is designed to actually reduce heat, which is weird, but that is like a thing apparently. Anyway, so that's something that I wanted to use. And then also somebody in the comments, I think they gone again, actually thought that this was Solid Snake. What is that? And that was also actually...
Someone's given Bart Solid Snake.
Yeah, so that was the thing, right? Like, I also felt that it was kind of Solid Snake, but here's the thing that is really cool about it. That association kind of makes Major Blood even cooler. Because, as G.I. Joe fans, we always sort of equate Solid Snake, at least I do, and at least the G.I. Joe boys sort of have equated Outback with kind of being like Solid Snake in a lot of ways. Not definitely not exactly the same, but similar if you look at Snake from like Snake Eater from Metal Gear Solid 3. But now we have a new, sort of looky-loo for Solid Snake in the form of Major Blood, which is pretty cool. So you mentioned you needed no artistic ability to do these walls. I mean, you said you basically used a technique I like to call ghetto modeling, okay? And I'm sorry if I apologize if the term offends anybody. It's just a term that I know from Japanese model threads and things like that. But we call it
so offensive, Paul.
Oh, it's offensive. But seriously, if I do apologize and correct me, and I'll accept my mistake and move right along. But let's call it junk modeling then, where you don't have to rely on all of these expensive model making products. Do you agree with that? Oh, look, I've got a notification. Isn't that nice? One switches these things off, but they come through anyway. Really? Internet? Really?
What we've been said? Oh my God, Paul.
I know, right? I'm getting like invitations to casinos. Anyway, moving right along. So I'm very much of the opinion that you don't need to spend a lot of money on model tools and model equipment. How do you guys feel about that?
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so
all this diorama material it's pretty much, you could find it in the skip of a building site and from the supermarket or discount store.
Cool. And then the paint, I mean, where did you get all of this paint from?
So the paint is, so see around the edges where I've done a cross section, the black, that's just cheap £1 cans of spray paint from the discount store. The paint we used on the actual model is kids poster paint and emulsion tester pots, you know, the tiny little pots you get to find out which color you want to paint your living room or bedroom, whatever.
Okay.
A selection of those. We've gone from sort of, there's a couple of browns, a couple of greys, and sort of an off-white for the highlight. The base, the actual base, the bottom of the base is an offcut of MDF. So just a square offcut that, you know, would get thrown away on a building site. The foam, you often find offcuts in skips at building sites. Oh, there's a machine gun.
Yeah.
The support pegs that I use are bamboo kebab skewers. You know, the ones you get to make your own kebabs for a barbecue.
Yeah, which is actually something that I have in my junk modeling stash of stuff.
Very helpful. I use them for
helpful.
Stick electrical crocodile clips on the end as well. I think you do, don't you, Paulie? For
spraying? I do as well. Although, like, ironically, it's harder to find. Seriously, I've tried turning the notifications off on Windows. I don't know how it works. If somebody in the comments wants to enlighten me, by all means do so, because I don't know how to mute these damn things. But okay, because like for me to find crocodile clips is really tricky. They actually end up being more expensive. So I've actually gone down the route of spending like $10 on getting a pack of 20 of those pre-made sort of metal sticks with the little alligator clips on the end to hold my pieces and whatever's when I'm painting. I do love them so. I find that is something, it's an essential purchase as a modeler. That's like one of those things where you can actually shell out and be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of this. But I'm very happy to hear that you guys use a lot of like, or that you use a lot of, or that you and Bart rather use a lot of sort of non-hobby products to do stuff like this, because there are a lot of hobby products out there, and one of my my biggest irritations is what is known as chipping fluid. And chipping fluid essentially is hairspray without the fragrance added. Okay, and you're paying like, I think it's $6 for one of those little bottles. Hello, Inyutabi. And like, it's anything between, I think it's $4 and $6 for a bottle of like chipping fluid, and I think you get 12 mils of it. And you can actually go and get yourself like a nice can of, I suppose I can't get Tresemme hairspray anymore, but anyway, but I just go and spend the same amount of money on a can of hairspray, and I bought that thing like 4 years ago, and I hit my models with that. If I want to do something like a hairspray chipping technique, something that we will definitely cover in future episodes. But yeah, that's me, you know. And I think the only time I actually spend real money on my hobby is when I buy like proper model kit paints for stuff like, for example, on Major Blood here, I would paint that stuff with proper hobby paint. And that's not because I'm trying to be some kind of weird snob. It's just that I found hobby paint generally is a good quality hobby paint is generally formulated to work well. You know, like it layers on nicely and it works well as a paint, but then it's also quite durable. And that's a big thing for me, is durability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's nothing more brutal than a beautifully painted model getting chipped, is there?
No, exactly. It's the most annoying thing. I want to shift over. No, it is. It's such a frustrating thing. And as somebody who builds Gundam stuff, and also for us that are, you guys do all the figures, and you got all these joints that marry each other. And this is why I want to segue through to Bart quickly, because Bart, Bart is probably the most prolific action figure customizer that I know. There was a time on YouTube where I think every week he had a new G.I. Joe custom up there. And let's get into some paint secrets from Bart. Like when it comes to, because like I've followed your tutorial, Bart, and I have managed to successfully pop off the arms of my roadblock. But are there, before we get into the paint side of things, are there any like little things that people should look out for when you're taking these toys apart, the classified Joes? Is there anything that you think is particularly like fragile or whatever's?
Not really. Like when I was popping his arms off, I had a problem where other joints would come off, just because you have them, the whole body's soaking in water. So when I was taking his arm off, I actually grabbed the shoulder and pull him at the shoulder, as opposed to just grabbing the arm and try and pull it off, because your arm might end up in 3 or 4 different pieces or whatever. And then you got to pop it back on. So whatever joint I'm trying to take off, that's kind of where I grab it at and pull. And it seems to separate pretty good. Now, with the classified Joes, you kind of have to watch, because they have that butterfly joint. And I've actually had the butterfly joints come out of the body before. So you kind of just stick a fingernail in there. Working backwards here. Stick a fingernail in there to hold the butterfly joint, and then pull the arm, and it comes off. But as long as the body's warm, you can put everything all back together again. It's just once it starts to cool down, it turns into a pain in the ass.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. That's good to know, because like that is something, like I know that for me with Roadblock, it was pretty simple, because his joints are quite easy to grip when you're pulling out his arms. And I didn't like, and with Roadblock in particular, like he doesn't have too much in the way of like sleeves and things getting in the way. It's actually why I used him as my guinea pig. Just because he's a chunkier figure. It's I mean, I love Roadblock, and if something happened to him, I'd be very sad. But yeah, so like, okay, so that's a good quick tip. And then anything like about the legs, have you managed to pop the legs off yet? I'm still a bit too scared to do it, actually.
I haven't had to do any legs yet, but just looking at it, they look like a Marauder's leg or a Boss Flight leg. So just warm it up, and they should pop off fairly easily. I like to like put my thumb on the inside and then pull out, just so it pops in direction of the joint. Because I found whenever I go sideways with it, kind of, you snap that peg off, then you got to glue it back in, and that's never good.
Ah, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, then I'm gonna be careful with that. I think for me, I might go a little bit more systematic and try to like use something like a vice, or like use like an inverse vice kind of grip. Maybe like use like I want to say torque wrench, but like something with a similar kind of idea where I can put it in and start small, and I can slowly start opening it up while the figure's been soaked in something hot. But I'll experiment with that later. Yeah, so now that we're just talking about classifieds, what is the kind of paint and stuff that you like to use on the classified Joes, or that you've had success with on actual figurines? Like, what's worked for you?
Just my standard automotive paints, the Tamiyas, Model Masters, just pretty much anything anybody has. I've had good luck with.
Okay.
Like with this piece that I'm doing for Quick, it was black. It's actually in the other video, you'll see I cut the bottom of that vest off to make room for this belt, because I wanted to use that belt. So this is actually the bottom part of that vest that I cut off, and I'm going to use it as the sash for Quick Kick.
Okay. Oh, cool, man.
It has pouches on it. I got room to put Chinese stars on it. But if you see, it was actually black.
Yeah.
So what I did is I took some white paint and I just dry brushed that on there, and then I put the red down over top of it. That way I don't have to use 12 coats of red to get the color red I want, because I'm already starting from a lighter base. And the white paint I used was automotive paint because it's already formulated to bond with plastic, because a lot of bumpers on cars are plastic. So I used that paint, and then I just used actually red automotive paint over top of it, just because that was the shade I was going for. But you could go Tamiya over top of it, pretty much anything, because there's an adhesion promoter in that automotive paint that's going to make your paint stick to that. So the automotive paint I'm actually using is kind of like a primer.
Oh, okay.
And, you can get that at any auto parts store in a little tube of touch-up paint. You probably have to thin it out a little bit because they leave it kind of thick. But you can get metallics, whatever you want. I just happen to work in that industry where I can just get some mixed at work and pay a couple bucks for it.
What do you thin that with, by the way?
Just regular paint thinner. Yeah.
Right.
Automotive or just paint thinner works just fine.
Because I know. No, sorry, man. I know that a lot of automotive paints rely on a cellulose thinner, which can be quite hectic for some folk. So that's why I was wanted to check. It can. As the paint gets older, it gets really thick. So every once in a while, if it's a paint I haven't used in a while, I'll check in on it. Like I get it in these bottles, and that bottle might only be this full. So all this air that's in here is reacting with that paint and slowly starting to dry it out. So every once in a while, I'll open them up just to see what the viscosity of them is, and maybe put a little bit of paint thinner in there or something just to keep it active. Because automotive paint will go bad faster than your jar Tamiya or something like that. Yeah, because I know that with Tamiya, Mr. Color, and Model Master, in my experience, I know that they do put in a chemical to maintain its age, to keep it. It's almost like a preservative for the paint. It's part of the paint medium, the bonding agent. So, guys, have I asked you enough cool questions? Is there stuff that I didn't ask you about that you want to share? Because I'll tell you why. I want to get into that section where we ask our guys in the comments for some questions and modeling tips. I see Brother Malachi has got one loaded up for us already. But if he doesn't mind waiting and hearing some cool stuff from you guys first, we'll definitely get to you, Brother Malachi, because we're going to get to a Q&A section, and that's going to be a regular thing on Some Assembly Required, because that's the whole point of this, is to help you. And if we don't know, then we will go through the pain to try and make it so for you. There is something I do want to bring in, but I just want to see if you guys have got anything to say first before I go forward. The only thing I got is practice on a piece that maybe won't be seen, like this sash. If I wasn't sure how the paint's going to react with each other on this plastic, I'll just test it on the inside, because nobody's going to see that once I glue it down to the figure. Of course, yeah. So that's actually, like, it's going to sound like a silly thing, but that's something that a lot of people don't do. Like, they're always too like, I just want to get paint on this thing and I want to make it happen. And they don't think to like test it out. And then, they get all like irritated, or they get scared of doing it again because they use the wrong paint. And, paint can be paint is actually a very simple thing. That doesn't mean it's easy. It's just simple. Like, it's designed not to be complex. But when you start looking at things like action figures that come with different kind of materials of plastic or different types of plastic, then you start adding complexity to it. And then it takes a lot of that simplicity away, because then you're using, like, I know in my experience with with some Gundam kits, if you take some of the older Gundam kits, the paint is less resistant to thinners. I mean, not older, newer Gundam kits. So, like, if you want to do washes and things like that on your Gundam kits, and you don't want to like paint them, for example, I recommend like hitting it with like an acrylic clear coat or a lacquer clear coat, and then doing your enamel panel wash afterwards, because the plastic sometimes cracks, like actually cracks if you use a wash. Yeah, so that's like a thing that happens, and it is a weakness of the way that Bandai do their plastic, and it is like one of the reasons their kits are cheaper. And but it's just also like a thing. I'm not saying Bandai kits are cheap. It's just that they've used a very refined product. I want to quickly show everybody something that Bobby Valla actually posted the other day. It was shortly after the Fan Friday announcements by Hasbro, which I don't really want to get into on this show because I like to save that kind of juice for G.I. Joburg. But I'm going to share my screen quickly and I'll show you what I mean. So this is a prototype for a Duke figure that was probably happening around the same time Bobby Valla was at Hasbro. I'm speculating now, so this isn't facts, but this is something he posted, and he just sort of mentioned that if people had only looked back, the guys that only looked back, they would have seen that they've got this great design for a retro Duke, which I'm sure.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
If I remember right, Bobby said that they had actually prototyped some stuff, and I think those are the pieces he kept when he left, and that's why he was showing people that, hey, look, years ago I tried to get this thing happening at the 6-inch scale. Here's what you could have had. Look at what you got.
So yeah, and this is in reference because this is the modern era size. Because if I look at the base, so like if you guys look at the retro release Duke, and I'm sorry, I can't sit on this too long, but like I'm sure everybody in the comments in here with you guys are just like, oh my word, is that just not the worst choice for Duke that they could have had? So yeah, so that's something, just to show you guys a little bit of the prototyping process, thanks to Bobby, who didn't officially let me use this image. I'm just putting it on here. So hopefully he doesn't get cross with us. But yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Social media, though, didn't he?
He did put it on social media, and social media is forever, right? Danny of our time says Flint's Nerf shotgun. I also want to quickly say, with regards to the new wave releases, I'm not like, I don't hate Hasbro. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not anti-Hasbro. That doesn't mean I'm their best friend in the world ever, but I will definitely comment on when they do something right. And one thing that they've definitely done right is they've listened to the fans. Because have you guys noticed how little gold is on Flint and Lady J? They've literally taken, there's no gold except for like shotgun shells, and that shows that they've been listening. And the guns do look a bit nerfy, but they look less nerfy than they did before. So that's all I want to say on that topic.
They've definitely moved away from that kind of Fortnite aesthetic down to much more sort of authentic renditions of the characters, haven't they? As the waves have been released.
Yeah, no, totally, exactly that. So I'm going to get into Q&A now. Because Brother Malachi has got some cool questions. He's got a very good question. He's actually got two. So I'm going to pop them on the screen, and you guys can take turns in answering them. So I'm going to pop them. I'm going to take the first one. It's at G.I. Joburg. I just got the old G.I. Joe Club Kim Arashikage. Could you ask him if there's a way to put the G1 Jinx on the Kim Arashikage body without damaging either one? Okay, so gentlemen, fire away.
G1 Jinx.
Okay.
You go, Bart. Go on. Go ahead, mate. You take it.
I was just going to say, I think all the neck balls are pretty standard, aren't they? Like all the heads are universal. I really haven't found too many problems swapping heads.
I also haven't. When it comes to Jinx with any modern era figure, sometimes the head ball is a bit smaller and they do sort of wobble a little bit.
Hold on. Yeah. I'm reading this wrong. G1, he's talking about the vintage head.
Yeah.
On a new body. Yeah, you'd have to cut that stem off, Dremel out the inside, and then just try and fit it on. I've done that a couple times.
Okay, so cool, Brother Malachi. Yeah, Jim?
What I tend to do, trying to fit a head from a different line on, I actually Dremel it out more than just the size of the peg hole, like a real good section of it, and then take an existing modern era head and trim it right down, so you've got the peg hole, and then just a section of the head, and then stick that into the hole, and then fill the rest. So you're essentially putting a head inside of a head, but trimming it right down.
There you
So
go.
you don't have to
That
create your own heck hole. Then you've got one already made, but you just fit it inside another head. If that makes sense.
Brother Malachi says, thank you for the info. And guys, please don't be scared of being a noob. We were all noobs, and there are a lot of things in this hobby that we are still noobs on. We do not have all the answers, but we are willing to make the sacrifices to get those answers. That's kind of what makes us different, in that we don't mind, like, you know, like I'm sure Bart has mangled many a GI Joe in his life, and so has Jimmy. I have not mangled a single GI Joe in my life. No, I'm lying. I've destroyed many GI Joes in my life. Hot screwdrivers galore. Let's not go there. I have managed to take apart a Ninja Force figure back in the old days, but I've taken it apart. I can't quite put it back together again. So, cool. And then Brother Malachi did actually ask something else as well that I thought would be quite good. He's just started practicing the toy polloi tutorial on tightening joints on older 80s and 90s Joes. I don't know why. I can't seem to remember that. I just know that for myself, if I want to tighten up Joe's joints, there's two ways you can go about it. The one way that has always worked for me is to use a clear coat or like nail varnish. But you have to be careful with that, because you can actually make the pegs maybe a little bit too big, and then you can actually break the pegs that the Joes use for the arms. I mean, for the knees, but for the arms, they're still pretty safe. So you can like literally put like a little drop in there and just let it sort of run in there, and it gives it a bit more tack. Or almost get it to a point where it almost feels like it is stuck, and then you sort of like work it out. If that is too scary for you, you can use a bit of kids hobby glue, you know, like paper glue or wood glue. You can use like a very, very small drop of that. If you really want to, you can mix it with a little bit of water. That also works. I haven't had to do that in a very long time, but I do that with Gundam kits, for example. I use it on their ball joints to stiffen their joints. And I've also found, like with the classified Joes, that's something that could help there as well. So I hope you found some answers in everything that we said. But yeah, Brother Malachi has said he's using the clear coat from acrylic model kit. Yes, that is the way. It is the way. Somebody asked, this is not a model related question, but it's like, can Snake Eyes speak, or does he choose to be silent? No, he cannot speak. In the comic book, he has actually lost his ability to speak, and he has gone through various surgeries to be able to maybe have his voice again. And in the comic book, I think he utters a collective 10 words throughout the entire G.I. Joe comic book run. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
and if
he's
I'm wrong,
like a fart. He's solid, silent, but deadly.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, but and that's not a noob question either. So don't take us laughing at it as like a thing. But no, he cannot speak.
No.
I'm not against the idea of him taking a vow of silence, though. I think it's a very interesting route for the character. But I don't know. I think it's very difficult to be a military man and not speak. And I think Snake Eyes not being able to speak and still being in a service, in a special forces team like G.I. Joe, makes him more badass, because they're like, okay, he can't talk, but you know what? He's like a Ginsu knife set from hell, and all we do is we throw him at Cobra, and he slices and dices and even does carrots. So that's kind of my approach on that. Cool. The Space Marine Hunter asks, do you guys play Warhammer? Who wants to answer this one first?
Jim.
Oh, I try. I do try. Yeah, I actually live in the center of Warhammer world, in the Midlands, where it all creates.
Nerd.
Warhammer world, just 40 minutes up the road. So I used to play a lot. I don't really anymore. I get more enjoyment out of just the model painting, the miniature painting.
So
I try with the games, but I just I like the toys more.
Yeah, so I'll answer that now as well. I have never played a game of Warhammer in my life. but I have got quite a few Warhammer models. I've got, and I mean, like, somebody would think I'm like a serious Warhammer nut because I have guys like Mortarion, and I've got the Bone Reaper, what's his name, Catacross, and I've got a handful of Chaos Space Marines and quite a few Blight Lords, because I just love painting the things. They're so cool. I have no intention to ever play the game, but that's just because I have an abundance of hobbies to keep me busy with. However, I don't discourage playing the game. I think it's a great pastime, and I think Games Workshop is very happy with COVID-19. Can't say that. Games Workshop is very happy with the current lockdown situation because their stock prices went up something ridiculous, like 12% or something. But anyway, let's not go there.
Really?
Yeah, really. That's why, like, Games Workshop is smiling all the way to the bank. But they, yeah. Anyway, best and
They
easiest
are models, though, aren't they?
They are cool models. I just wish they were cheaper. They have no reason to be that expensive. Sorry, but that's a debate for another day. Seriously. Otherwise, Thousand Wolves says best and easiest kit bash. I start off with answering this because I haven't done a lot of kit bashing in my life, but I've actually got one I can share here. If you want, if you look into some of the older Pursuit of Cobra and 50th anniversary G.I. Joe stuff, you will find there's a peculiar Snake Eyes figure that is called the Dojo Snake Eyes, and he's wearing like black gear, and it's actually only Snake Eyes figure that comes with what looks like his face. It's kind of like sort of half mask, you know, he's got a face mask because of social distancing. He was like away, he was cool before everybody else was. Anyway, that figure comes with a mask that is very similar to Dojo. And then if you get yourself a Red Ninja from that same period, you get a mask that looks very similar to Slice from the Ninja Force. So those are actually pretty easy kit bash customs to make just out of those parts. And I'm sure you'll find a lot of those parts loose on eBay. That's one easy kit bash that I can mention. Another one that's also really, really simple. From the G.I. Joe Renegades TV series, they did a Zartan figure. It's probably like the worst Zartan figure because he's got such a great design but limited articulation, but he comes with a very cool Snake Eyes head, and that Snake Eyes head actually works well on the Snake Eyes body from the same era. There's like a really dumb ninja action Snake Eyes, but once you pop that head on him, it looks really sweet. So Snake Eyes is generally a good place to go for like kit bashes because you can get the best Snake Eyes head on a body and mix it up with some cool web gear. You can make some good ninjas out of those bodies. But anyway, that's me. I know Bart is a master of kit bashing. What do you say, Bart?
That's kind of a tricky one for me because I just kind of go into my fodder box and just grab parts I think that looks cool. So the body's already together. If you're going to kit bash, you're just mostly head swapping and putting parts on.
Doing all kinds of toy sorcery.
Yeah. But even just doing a basic paint job on something is pretty easy. A lot of those 25th figures are all the same body with just different paint on them, especially the Joes. They all use that same just generic, chest and legs. Legs are easy to swap out because you just kind of unscrew them and screw some new ones on. Where you get to the tricky stuff is arms because you have to pop the body to get the arms on. There's another little trick you can do with an X-Acto knife and some super glue. I got a tool I got now that just pops a body in like 2 seconds. So you can do a real easy kit bash with just swapping some legs and a head. You have to do a little bit of repainting, but it's just a leg. There's nothing detail oriented in that. You're just slapping paint on the leg.
Cool. Very cool. And Jim, anything that you can recommend as an easy kit bash?
I'd kind of add to what Bart said there. I think the best way to start off is, the aspect of customizing that I enjoy the most is the head painting, face painting. So I would just start trying to create some characters through doing some bit of face painting, bit of head painting, and then you can swap them around the kind of bodies you want. That's the best way to do it. Best way to start. It's the easiest way.
Okay. Well, Thousand Wolves, I hope that we've answered your question. I'm going to move on to quite a good one here as well. It's from Dagon again. He's not called Dagon again. He's called Dagon. But do you think 3D printing has or will change the customization world? The question is not will it, it is how is it going to, I think, is actually a better question for that. Yes. Paul says yes, because it already has. I'm busy making 3D printable parts. I'm using 3D printing with a friend of mine, and we are building this backpack for the classified GI Joes that we want to release soon. There are other guys who are already doing classic GI Joe weapons in 1/12 scale. It's happening. It's already happening, and it's going to. I think how it's going to change it is that it makes the hobby. I think it's less about toy collecting now and more about having the ultimate set of toys for yourself. So it becomes more personalized. You can go, oh, this is my classified Duke with the machine gun I got from Bellaverse and a backpack I got from Bergverse and whatever's, and that's like my ultimate version of him. But that's how I see it. Jim, once you sent me some cool resin heads. They were obviously sculpted, but I think there was some 3D modeling that happened in that, and I think those were originally 3D printed, and then somebody just worked on them and then did a reduction on them. So we've had 3D printing in this game for a long time already. In terms of like the future of it, I've got a feeling that you're going to be able to download toys soon, and maybe toys will maybe also become like more of a kit type thing. So you're going to be able to download a toy, but it'll be up to you to paint. So don't be surprised if Hasbro starts selling model paints in 3 years' time. But yeah, what do you guys say?
Jim?
Yeah, I think it's kind of just an extension of the guys that were like AVAX Lab, who were sort of taking existing heads, adding a bit of sculpting to it, and then running them off in molds, selling them by the dozen. I think this is sort of it might end up cutting guys like that out, and like you said, people might end up having 3D printers at home and then just download it. Yeah, you download the design and print it off yourself. So yeah, I think it's great for guys like you, Paulie, that can 3D model.
Yeah,
I think it is going to change it.
It's definitely gonna, like, I think it changes the stakes quite a bit as well. And sorry, Bart, like, I know that you also want to say something quickly, but it definitely changes the stakes because a lot of the times, and actually it's Bart that sort of reminded me of this, reminded me or made me sort of very aware of it. When he received his Beachhead figure, he was already telling me about customizing it. And, it's funny, but like when you look at a toy, and also, Bart, when I showed you pictures of Flint, or when you saw the pictures of Flint from the classified line, you had some comments about that. And, I used to have this like issue. I've had to like, pull back on it, but I used to have this thing where I'd buy a toy, even if it wasn't that good looking, because I knew that I could add some paint to it and fix it up. The problem is that I just never got around to doing that. But, with Bart, like, having his critiques and whatever that he mentioned about Flint, about the Flint sculpt, it actually made me realize, well, you know what, buy the toy anyway. If you are unhappy with something like the face sculpt or the web gear, there's going to be somebody out there who's going to make it. And then you can have the ultimate version of that toy for yourself. And it's kind of unique and special for yourself. So that's one thing about it. I hope my point came through there. But anyway, Bart, what do you think? Where did Bart go? Bart's internet died. Okay, well,
he's gone.
I'll stand in for Bart. Well, actually, no, he'll come back in a second. Let me check if there's any other questions that we can answer so long. Brother Malachi. This is actually quite cute. Brother Malachi is playing on the Hasbro paint line. If you guys are familiar with Warhammer or Citadel paints, this is great. Cobra Commander blue, Destro metallic gray, Sartan green, Norgahide brown. Yeah. I hear you, dude. I hear you. And then somebody called Nyquist75 says Velaman sells kits for under $300 locally. So there you go. I also know that there's a lot of guys, even locally. There's a guy that's done a fantastic police spinner from Blade Runner. It's in the $300 range, but I think it's close to, I think it's a 1:24 scale or small or slightly bigger than that. But it's fully 3D printed. It's got internals. It's got functional parts. It's a full-on kit, and then there's actually a lighting kit that some French company did to go with that. So yeah, it's definitely making the hobby way more independent. It's definitely turning the collecting hobby and stuff into almost a cottage industry. Let me just check with Bart. Do you want to check on Bart? It is unusual for his internet to cut out, so I hope he's okay.
He's sick of you, Paul.
It's probably he's like, oh, this Paul guy. Like, seriously.
Oh, really?
Oh, really, dude. Oh, there we go. Brother Malachi bought a crown for Galvatron. There you go. That's another thing. So yeah, 3D printing is a thing. Has anybody else got any cool? Oh, sorry guys. Here's another good question. A guy called Brady Banter. Opinions on the G.I. Joe Monopoly game. There's only one problem with G.I. Joe Monopoly. It's called Monopoly. There isn't a board game I hate more than Monopoly. But yeah, Bart is back, so let's get Bart's opinion on 3D printed stuff quickly. Bart, what do you think of 3D printing?
I'd like to see.
Sorry about that. The internet dropped. I like it just because I often think of whenever I need parts for something, especially like a vehicle. Some of them are either hard to get or expensive to get, and I think, well, hell, I'm not paying that. Let me see if there's an alternative part I can get. I'm not opposed to using something 3D printed as long as it's the same quality as the original piece. The part that scares me is 3D printing a piece that looks like an original piece and people selling it as an original piece whenever you're trying to complete your collection. So there's goods and bads to that. I'm all for it just because I can get more pieces that I need for something I want to do. But there's always that crook out there that's going to try and cheat you.
Yeah, definitely. I must say, up until now, the 3D part, that market has been for the most part, very honest. I also know with there's some guys out there that are doing like recast G.I. Joe bodies and things like that, but they've intentionally done small things, and I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. But they take like the rivets and they inverse the rivets so that you as a collector know that you're buying something that is a repro of a classic figure, because they're not trying to crook you, which I respect. I think that's a great thing, and that's why I have given them my money for projects in the past or for stuff in the past. I am of course talking about Black Major. They do fantastic stuff, and they have a way of doing it with, I think, with a certain amount of elegance and sort of responsibility, which I appreciate. But yeah, and so that's a cool thing. Somebody, I was just answering a question put out by Brady Banter about the G.I. Joe Monopoly game. I just said that unfortunately it's got Monopoly in it, but I like the little pieces. I have seen them, and they're great for diorama stuff, as Bart has proven to us.
Yeah.
What I'd really like to see that sort of links those two together is there's some guy that I've seen him on YouTube. He does a YouTube series. I think he's Australian. But he's been 3D printing tabletop gaming G.I. Joe vehicles and figures. Have you guys seen him?
No, I want those. I mean,
yeah,
cool.
guys. He's using a I think it's a gaming format called Bolt Action, which is basically a World War II tabletop turn-based game, and he's adapting it for GI Joe. I'd rather see Hasbro do something official like that. Release kind of like a box set. You know how when Games Workshop release new games, they do a starter pack that's got basically 2 armies and some rule books and some dice and marks. I'd rather see that than a GI Joe Monopoly game.
Yeah, see, that's how I feel as well. And you know, when we were in the States, we were still in Chattanooga, and we went to go and check out the very cool Word Burglar. And at his show, and I'm sorry, I did forget the gentleman's name, but he actually showed us something very cool with regards to G.I. Joe as a board game. And there was an actual G.I. Joe board game that was done, I think it was mid-'80s. And like, I would love to see Hasbro just dust that thing off and re-release it. That would be cool.
There's a couple of them. I have 2 of them.
There you go, man. Just re-release that stuff. We don't need, like, I mean, I know that there's guys out there who actually collect Monopoly sets. I remember a friend of mine was like balls deep in getting a Lord of the Rings Monopoly set, and I was like, what? Like, oh, okay, well, you've just landed on Helm's Deep, fork over 500 gold. You know, like, no, no. You know, do not pass, go straight to Sauron. I don't even know. I barely like Lord of the Rings, and I really hate Monopoly. So if I get my facts wrong, I'm okay. I can live with that. I'm actually okay with that. Cool. Okay. Well, I think everybody who had a question to ask about customizing has actually asked. So guys, what are we going to do for the next episode? Or what do you guys want to do for the next episode, so we can get our loyal supporters that have stuck with us for the whole hour and a half? What can they look forward to in the second episode? What do you think would be cool? What do you want to do? Putting you all on the spot.
Put the pressure on.
We
What did they want us
I don't
to
know,
do?
Paul. We did talk about. Have you? Yeah, is this a leading question, Paul? Have you actually got an idea you want to put forward, or are you just waiting for us to have nothing and then you present it?
You see, one of the things to our listeners out there, we have a lot of these chats and things in a WhatsApp group that we've created to curate our ideas and to brainstorm and whatever. And one of the tricks about that is that sometimes a lot of cool things are said, and I like to put them out there in the air, in the ether, and then just see how our supporters react to them. I know one of the things that we're talking about, and it's kind of a segue
said on that WhatsApp group.
Yeah, lots of filthy things said on that WhatsApp group, definitely. And maybe I'll make a special patron here to be part of that WhatsApp group. Because that is stuff I can't
show my mom.
Yeah, don't show my mom. But something that you guys did, and it sort of springboards off the sort of Steel Brigade episode that we did with GIJOBURG, is to maybe look at doing like custom Steel Brigade. Like I should do my own one, because Jimmy did some fantastic Steel Brigade guys for Cujo's The Black Book series, and I'm just popping them up on the screen now, hopefully with fewer notifications about online casinos, which I never check out because it's illegal in my country anyway. But yeah, here's some of the modifications on a Steel Brigade figure that Jim did for Cujo. And they're very cool. They are super, super cool. I am actually so jealous that Cujo has these, but at the same time, I'm glad that he has these as well, because look, that's me. And so the guys are suggesting that maybe I get around to building my own Steel Brigade dude, my character called Thundershock, which 10-year-old me conceived. So there's that. That's one thing we could look. 10-year-old Paul came out with the most ninjistic influenced Steel Brigade figure that he could come up with. And so maybe I should get around to doing that. Although that is still going to require a bit of fodder pods, so hopefully I receive that stuff from you guys soon. But in the interim, I would like to actually have some stuff about how I've done some tweaks to the classified Joes, and I'd like to be able to show off the actual paint tweaks. And I actually think our listeners and you guys, our viewers, if you guys are keen and you've got some classified figures, please get your classified GI Joes together, have a look at them. And I think for this stream, I'll try to post it like a week prior to it. Maybe create like a small thread on GIJOBURG for you guys to come in and chat in on. But get your guys out, your classified guys out, and let's find ways to fix some of those paint issues on there. And let's do that. Maybe we should do that. Help guys with painting that stuff. What do you guys think?
That works for me.
Yeah, well, a little project in between the next two shows for the viewers.
Yes, yeah. So I'll get on to how I fixed Roadblock and my little tweaks to Storm Shadow, and we can chat about that. That also said, just before we sign off, guys, straight after this video, I am going to make Jim's diorama tutorial live, so you guys can check out how he built that sexy diorama that he did, at least the first part. And we'll be releasing the subsequent episodes during the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's something to keep you busy on, to keep you hungry. And guys, actually do the tutorial, and it'll be cool if you shared your images on Facebook, and I'll pop them all here on the channel. How's that sound? Can I have a yo Joburg or some assembly required? Some assembly required in the comments. Sweet.
Well,
cool.
Maybe we could split the next show, Polly.
Make it half and half.
So we'll do, yeah. So we'll have a retroactive look at how everyone's got on with their 6-inch Joes in the past month, and then the second half we could do maybe a brainstorming group inspiration session on doing a little Steel Brigade project between yourself.
Yeah, and then maybe just do and then maybe also just do a small showcase of some of the guys' dioramas. In fact, I want guys to send me pictures of the dioramas. If you guys want to, you are welcome to send your pictures to a real South African hero at gmail.com. I'll put the link below. That's the email that you can send stuff to. Actually, no. Yes, yeah, I'll do that. That's our GI Joburg official email. And then I can put your stuff up on a showcase in the next Some Assembly Required. Yeah.
I know we had talked about at one point maybe doing a giveaway or something down the line.
Yeah, Bart, you want to show them what you want to give away?
Yeah.
Show them the goodies, Bart, honey.
Prepare yourselves for Bart giveaway.
I used to use this back in the day when I first started. It's a carousel. It holds your paint, so you can put model masters in there, fit in there. The big Tamiyas you have to kind of just put off to the side, but the smaller ones that do fit in there. And I think the Army Builders stuff fits in there. And then there's a space in the top for a brush. I don't use it anymore because I have a custom setup I built for myself. But this thing does spin for cleaning. If we figure out some way to give that stuff away, I'm all for it. See, I have a custom setup I built for all my paints. And that's all just out of PVC pipe from the hardware store, hot glued together. So
cool. So guys, you will have your opportunity to own your very own paint spinner rack, which is better than every other paint spinner rack that's ever been produced, because this one has been touched by the ordained Bart Simon.
I'll even autograph it.
You can even please autograph it at the bottom. Just be like, Bart Simon says you're cool or something.
Assembly required.
Assembly required. Cool. Okay, well, that is it for the official first episode of Some Assembly Required. This time the episode didn't need some assembly. It was mostly intact. And yes, we actually have a logo, so you know it's official. Let me go. I'll even do shirts if you guys want some assembly required shirts. I'll make them available on the Teespring. It'll be a standard logo tee if you guys want them. That's the only way I can think of to get them to you. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for chilling out with us, for hanging out with us tonight, this morning, this afternoon, evening. A muck time, perhaps even. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. And
hey, can I give a shout out real quick?
Yeah, please throw out your shout outs.
Shout out to Twitch Sniper out there in the chats. It's actually my nephew.
Oh, cool. He's got his mom's by him right now. So cool, Twitch Sniper. Oh, I didn't even give him a shout. Yeah. Also, somebody said Airborne School was the easiest. Cool. Ooh, them sounds like fighting words. But I have also heard this before. But then again, somebody's easy is somebody else's hard. Hey. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody in the comments. You made it super awesome. It kind of feels like we had a bit of a record-breaking live stream, so that was great. Thank you. And yeah, let's see those diorama pieces. I'm going to throw up Jim's first tutorial. Let's get that, and yeah, I'm going to try and get them out every Friday for you guys. So then it gives you time in the week to build up your stuff. Bart's should be following shortly after that. If you're not interested in doing a diorama, Bart's how to rip off the arms of your classified Joes in style.
And swap the vests.
And swap the vests will also be out, so you can check that out. And then somewhere in between that, I will release my how to make your roadblock a tiny bit sexier and your Storm Shadow 50% sexier on our next episode of Some Assembly Required. And yeah, with that, I bid you bid you all adieu. Be awesome, be cool.
Can I say something, Paul?
Hey?
You broke up, Jim.
Can I just say something, Paul?
Yeah, go for it, my man.
Just that, yeah, if you're watching along with a diorama video, if you get stuck anywhere or need any hints or tips or suggestions or help, just drop a comment and I'll get back to you and give you some assistance.
Cool. So yeah, just hashtag it some assistance required. Anyway, with that, cheers everybody. Thank you very much. And be cool and be safe out there, and just enjoy your hobby. And yeah, cheers guys. Fading into the dark.
Berg.
Berg.